Hello and welcome back everybody to another drawing video, and this one is going to be my little warm-up drawing for Inktober. I need it very much because I have not inked anything non-digitally in many years as a continuation of my previous video. But yeah, I figured I would try out a little bit of Inktober this year to, have an excuse to get the dust off, and also to kind of check what tools I still have that work for inking. And that's why I decided to make this very little drawing in my sketchbook of like Ringerike style Viking ornament cat drawing, in the style of my, the info pages in the comic. You guys know the drawings, I mean, that kind of style, little illustration. I figured it would be, well, not easy. I knew it was going to be a bit challenging because when I do these kind of ornament drawings, for the comic, I make them digitally, and I like drawing the white details on top of black, bigger shapes, rather than doing it the other way around with ink like this, where I, draw out the black shapes and have to figure out how to leave the white parts of the ornaments where they need to be. So I knew it was going to be challenging, but I also knew it was going to be a fun kind of challenge. Let my brain try to work backwards in a way. And yeah, it was difficult, but it was okay in the end. Some parts of the ornaments turned out different from what I wanted them to look like, but still looks okay. So yeah, anyway, me checking out my inking tools. Surprise, surprise! After 5 years, almost all of them had dried out. The ones that you see in the drawing are the only ones that had not dried out completely. I had some acrylic ink bottles, India ink for like dipping pens and just regular brushwork, and they had completely dried out. One was smelling really bad. I couldn't even get the cap off them anymore. They had dried out so badly. So those went straight into the garbage thing. And all of my markers or fine liners that I had, like 90% of them had gone bad. These 4 or 5 were the only ones still working, and even these were a little bit on the rougher side. I had to press down pretty hard to, get the ink to come out, which wasn't ideal. Obviously, you don't want to have to press down to get the ink to come out uniformly, or have to drag your lines several times over to get the line you wanted. And the only thicker pen that worked, that I used here to fill in a lot of little spaces in the beginning, was a signing pen for like glossy surfaces that I had bought to use for signing the book plates for the Red Tails Dream books years and years ago. Surprisingly, that was the one that worked the best, but I ended up having to not use that much, because it turned out the finish of it is like a almost metallic sheen to it. Like, it's not meant to be used in art. It's meant to sign photo paper, basically. So yeah, it didn't look very good. The moment I looked at the drawing from a different angle, you could see the light reflecting off those parts of the black in a really uncomfortable way. Like it would have the kind of multicolored, like rainbow colors to it, which, isn't great. Thankfully, I remember that I had bought one new inking tool this summer, in fact, when I was spending a lot of time in the city just wasting time waiting for driving lessons to start. I had bought a pentel brush pen. At some point I remember that I had that hopefully in my bag, and I went over to check and it was there. And I replaced my signing pen with the actual proper brush pen to fill in the large dark parts. So yeah, that's the tools I had to my use. A few fine liners, which I used to draw out the outlines of the patterns, and then the signing pen, which I replaced with the brush pen to fill in the dark parts. And you don't need more than that, but I definitely need fresher fine liners and gel pens, and I want some bottled ink so that I can use a brush every now and then. Oh, at this point I think I hit the 1 hour mark and I needed to do some stretching. Always do stretching when you're drawing. I think like 5 minutes every 1 hour is like a minimum you should do. And I definitely started feeling it at this point. I didn't even have a timer, but I felt it in my palm and my wrist and my fingers and back of my hand, everywhere. But yeah, back to drawing after that little stretching montage. So yeah, anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, I bought new supplies. Just a very small little starter pack of what I need, like to replace some of what I had. I think I bought a handful of fine liners in different sizes, a couple gel pens for white on black inking, quote unquote, and another brush pen, bottled ink. Oh wait, did I buy bottled ink? Oh, I hope I did. Ooh, I think I might have forgotten to buy bottled ink. Oh, that's a pity. Well, the brush pens will hopefully be enough. If not, I think maybe that's something I can just buy from like a general big store, hopefully. By the way, it's taking a surprisingly long time for the package to arrive. I bought them last week online from a art supply store that's like an hour away. I didn't feel like driving over there to the next city, and I ordered them from them before, and it's arrived really fast. But this time the package got on a little bit of a adventure through the mail system. Every day I look at the tracking, it's in a city even further and further away from me. I thought it would just come straight down. It's like 50 kilometers away. But no, first it went to like a city called Tampere, and I was like, oh no, maybe now it's gonna start coming closer to me. It was like 100 kilometers away or something. And then the next time I looked, it's ended up even further away. Now it's like 300 kilometers away, like way over in southern Finland. And yeah, I guess that happens sometimes when you order online. Sometimes you get lucky and it arrives like in a day or two. Like I bought some lamps last week too, and they arrived like the next morning. I was so surprised. I wasn't expecting them, and I got like the call from the delivery call like waking me up. I was all groggy opening the door, but yeah, then you get these other times when for some reason the package just goes on a adventure around the country. Sometimes I don't know if it's the sorting system of the post offices or if it's like an error, or if it's working how it should and it's just a slightly inefficient system. I don't know, but yeah, now I'm just waiting for the stuff so that I can work on a bigger piece. I might have to check if I have some better paper to work on too, because I want to make like a A3 sized piece. This one was like A5, I think, so that would be 4 times as big. Yeah? Yes. Yes. And I have to check if I have any nice inking paper left, because this one was a little bit too rough. It's a sketchbook with watercolor paper, so it's everyone knows who's tried inking on rougher paper. It's very difficult to get your lines to go straight. They keep like following the grooves and wobbling around a lot, and you have to press really hard to get them to go straight. And even then I kept failing. Like I would try to do a nice swoop of my wrist to get like those curves, and suddenly the tip of the pen would just go into one of the grooves and completely change the direction and ruin my nice little curves. So yeah, I need to check if I have any smoother paper for the next one. I'm sure I have. I have a lot of leftover little papers from my old inking and painting days. I'll have to see if one of them would be suitable. I'm sure I will find one. Oh, we're at the end of the drawing. I just used a little bit of red for the eyes of the kitties to have like a popping detail. Make it, I think, a little bit more interesting. And peeling off the thing, what's it called? Painter's tape, I think? Yes. It's not as dramatic as with paintings with full-on color coverage, but it still looks nice to have the crisp edges of the inked areas. I really like this part, as everyone else. It's always satisfying to do the final it is done kind of peeling. But yeah, thank you all for watching. This was the result, and took 2 hours I think, and good enough. I'm excited to do the next one. It's gonna be bigger. I have a fun idea, and maybe it will be next week. Anyway, I'll see you then. Bye!